If I go fast instead of slowly, instead of last, if my father survives me, if I explode, if I go up in smoke, if I go quietly, when I go quiet, give my heart to my mother. She'll know what to do. Give my songs to my lover. She'll know what to do. Give my bones to my father. My poems to my sister. My love to one another. Give it all to each other. And I suppose the soul can go to the children. I suppose the trash can go to the museum. I suppose the dreams can go in the casket. I suppose the blood will go where you ask it. Will go where you ask it. Will spill where you ask it. Will spill where you ask. I'll spill where you ask. I'll spill where you ask. I'll spill. I'll spill. I'll spill. I'll spill. I was once the tree, and I was the paper. I was the hair, and I was the razor. I was the leg, I was the table. I was the cloth, and I was the indigo. And I was the indigo, and I was the indigo, and I was the indigo, and I was a color girl, 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 and I was a color girl. It's the blue light when we're out with our friends. It's the blue light asking where the night should end. It's the blue light saying, come over. It's the blue light, my coat on my shoulders. Lying in your room, playing with your hair. Lying to myself, saying that there's nothing there. There's nothing that we share. It's the white lies when I say we're just fucking and that's all. Laughing in your room, riding in your car, promising myself I won't let this go too far. And yet here we are, so. And yet here we are, so. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing? I'm not your boyfriend, but I'm somebody. I'm not emotionally available, mentally stable, but I'd like to be the blue light when we're out with our friends, be the blue light asking where the night should end, be the blue light saying come over, be the blue light in the cold on your shoulders, lying in my room, playing solitaire, lying to myself, saying I'm too cool to care, but you're coming over, and you wanna know what are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing? 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 What are we doing here? College parties, college drinking, all you outcasts gather round, roll a fat one, pour the shots, give this death all you've got. Let the liquor loosen your mouth, make a bow with friendly tongues, call your lover, say you're sorry, then go back to making fun. Your friends are drunk and useless. Welcome to senior year. The night is young and ruthless, and you want to disappear in the hallway, in the hall, in the hallway, in the hall. You can hear them all around you, broken hearts and blushing sighs. Truth's a hard pill to swallow.
Life is pain. Oblivion alone yields peace. You call me stranger. I call myself salvation.
The love of a god is not a blessing, it's a scar. How can I be the paragon of Mahu if I don't even know who I am?
There's gotta be more to life than making mistakes and making up for your mistakes.
I'm the paragon of risk and reward, behaving as more of a suggestion.
Fate is an offer I intend to reject.
You don't know me. I'm unpredictable, bitch.
I don't need to be a paragon to help save the world.
I came back for a reason, and I am not stopping until I find it.
I will solve the cataclysm, and I'll solve the mystery of myself, too. 4 paragons, 4 keepers, 1 stranger. Huh. Odds are in our favor. Now let's go save Andake.
Content warnings for this episode include fantasy violence, body horror, gore, monsters and monstrosity, death and killing, apocalypse, trauma, flirting and romance, and complex and complicated relationships.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Arc 5, Episode 12 of Transplanar RPG. I am your game master and creative producer. My name is Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me on Twitter, Itch, TikTok, and Ko-Fi at by Connie Chung. That's BYCONNIECHANG right up here. I'm going to pass along introductions over to Erica.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erica. She, her pronouns. I play V. I did nothing wrong. Not sure so. And you can find me anywhere on social media at Erica Newgirl. I'm a streamer here on Twitch. I like to speedrun Resident Evil 7, and I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter Rise. So that's been fun. Insect Glaive for life. And with that, I will pass it on to Max.
Hey, y'all. My name is Max. My pronouns are they, them. I play Dewey Quirk. He's also done nothing wrong. You can find me, I make things like top surgery pillows, so you can find me on Instagram and Etsy at Stitchmonger. I'll pass it to Austin.
Hey, what's up? I'm Austin. That was so
Froggy pillow.
I'm sorry. Max made me this top surgery pillow for recovery.
Froggy
Look, it's got
pillow.
frogs on it. I picked
so
out the
cute.
cloth, and Max told me, a little embarrassed, that they had to take it from the nursery section. This cloth, because I'm a baby. I'm a baby. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Austin. I didn't mean to hijack.
You're super fine. I looked away and I saw you coming back and I thought it was very endearing. Anyway, I'm Austin. My pronouns are he, they, she. I play Abiku Ishtar. I don't have a funny thing for her. I'll think of something by the end of the episode. You can find me on Twitter at Sailor Scott Austin, at Sailor SCT Austin. I'm a game player, designer, podcaster, lover.
Hell yeah. I thought you said I'm a gay player. Designer.
I am also a gay player, but not like that. Like, stop that. I know someone's in chat like, oh, stop it. Stop.
Ooh, you heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first, folks. So thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Transplanar. Again, this is episode 12 of Arc 5 of The Second Stranger, which is the main D&D campaign 1 of Transplanar RPG, which is, of course, an all transgender, people of color led 100% homebrew D&D show set in Andake, a non-colonial, anti-orientalist realm. We are so proud and happy to announce, if you hear a beep in the back, that's because C's cooking pierogies. C's cooking pierogies and they're apologizing.
I also have pierogies today.
Ooh, pierogi gang. I will not be interrupted by white people cooking food any longer. We are proud to announce that this episode of The Second Stranger is sponsored by @Dimitri Opines on Twitter. That's DMITRYOPINES. And his company Explain Trade, which is a negotiation skills training consultancy, believing in the power of D&D and Transplanar's potential to grow, tell great stories, and lift up our community. Explain Trade trains negotiators for governments, big companies, NGOs, and offers e-learning courses for individuals looking to get a better deal from their boss. If that sounds like you, if you're like, God damn, my boss undervalues me, you got some money to burn for some consulting lessons, check them out at explaintrade.com and level up your charisma score. Thank you so much, Dimitri. We love you. Mwah. And I'm going to toss things over to Austin.
Hey, everybody. What's up? It's me again. Did you know we have a podcast? Our podcast episodes release every Tuesday at the crack of dawn, and we're in Arc 3, and it's carnival time. Check out everyone's favorite murder bar and leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, wherever you pod your cast. And as a reminder, patrons, you get early access to the podcast episodes. I don't know why I'm doing the Godfather thing right now, but you also get other bonus content like ARC booklets and monthly gaming nights and monthly cast Q&As. And there are some very special patrons that are going to get a very special message from Connie.
Yes, indeed. As always, a huge, fat, beautiful thank you and gratitude to our Patreon paragons. These are patrons pledged to the highest tier of our Patreon. Thank you so much to Abigail Reitel, Azura, Brooke Bright, Charles, Chiacres, Cora Eckert, Hat MP, Lex Slater, Marvelous, Mitzi, Moonflower Tea, Purple Mouse, Risa, Vru, Scruffusus, and Target. So thank you so much for being our incredible paragons. And as always, a haiku for you, which I've been forgetting to do these recently, so I'm gonna make this one up off the top of my head. Let's go. Khaarvach Turai says, to Dewey, my successor, here is a lore drop. Boom. I'm actually really good at coming up with haikus on the spot. Have you noticed? They should put me on a game show. Anyway, Erica, why don't you tell people more about ways to support us?
I mean, if you want to support us in ways unlike what we've already mentioned, one of the best ways to do it is through our donation and incentives program. You probably see a little bar up in the corner, which has some type of fun incentive, which if we reach, it'll unlock things like bonus scenes, playlist drops, and more. So you can use the command donate at any time in chat and donate to support our all-queer, all-trans, person-of-color-led D&D group and keep the chaotic queer fun alive. And now, my favorite part, Max, please let Erica know what's going on.
I'm doing my best. As a reminder, you can get to our recap document updated every week by going to bit.ly/transrecap or by using the !recap command in our chat. Here's what happened last time. V chews Dewey out, but not before revealing she's willed everything she owns to his daughter, Hana. The team comes upon a settlement at the foot of a hill containing the crypt of Khaarvach Turai, the last paragon of Galtengr. The townsfolk reluctantly accept their help clearing it of what turns out to be a corpse bolus. At the very bottom of the crypt, they enter a large room, at the far end of which is a raised dais and a mural with Khaarvach's story. Dewey approaches it, feeling a calling to lay eyes on a cryptic inscription. And after that, pause. I will go on to the title of today's session, which is Wake Clenched in the Frame, from the poem Continuous Installation by Karen Weiser. The flow verse is, you wake from the dream, not sure which is the dream. You wake clenched within the frame. You wake and then remember, and you wake and then remember between an old world and a broken music.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Max. Here are content warnings for this episode and our campaign. They may include fantasy violence, body horror, gore, monsters and monstrosity, death and killing, apocalypse, trauma, complex and complicated relationships, flirting, and romance. As always, use !CW in chat for a full list of our content warnings at any time, and !safety for a look at the cast's lines and veils to know what content will never traverse into no matter how dark things get. So, with that out of the way, let's begin. I had hoped this day would never come. But if you're reading this, then it has. The stranger has returned, and the 8 realms need you. It has no body, no mind, no soul. It cannot be killed. We did not defeat it. It cracked open the earth. It fought us, and it left. Juan says it came here for a reason, but she doesn't know what the reason is. Shuhai said Sen sensed something else. Something wrong, familiar about the stranger's presence. It felt stagnant, repetitive, like it had been here before. fought us already. Jinka wove a story about this. All of this. But Juan warned us not to tell of our own failure. The realms need their protectors. The realms need to think we won. And they must continue to believe that. We cannot falter. We cannot appear weak. It is as cynical Shuhai says, a paragon must be perfect. Nothing less. If you are reading this, then I am sorry. It has already begun. Find the others. Rally yourselves. Protect the realms against the stranger. You will win. I know you will. As long as your mind is free, Galtanger sings within your soul. Blessings from the paragon before you, Khaarvach Turai. Dewey, your feathered fingertips come to a pause atop the inscription, inlaid into this hard, frosted stone. All around you, the cavernous silence of Khaarvach Turai's crypt presses in on your ears. Your eyes behind those glistening glasses drawn to this final message left to the previous paragon successor. You. The weight of the weave, and perhaps the world, seems to hang upon your shoulders as you read this message of apology and failure. What do you do?
I think that Dewey doesn't read the whole thing out loud at first. He reads it to himself, and then you just hear him say, "They failed."
What? Who?
The previous paragons.
That does not make any sense, because we, well, I guess I technically died. Maybe that's when they failed, but you are not dead.
Yeah, the stranger wasn't... The stranger went away for a very, very, very long time.
But they didn't defeat them.
Dewey, what are you talking about? Rev sort of strides forward, like stepping a leather boot onto the bottom rung of this dais, right? Like, because you're elevated up so high, like, she's shorter than you for once, right? Looking up at you, like, one black eye, one gold eye, like, trained on your face in, like, consternation. What do you mean they failed?
They didn't defeat the stranger, and now it's up to us. And then he reads the whole thing to them, I think.
I think as like the final syllable, Khaarvach Turai's own sign-off, like rings, like echoes out against like the slick stone walls with these like thick murals like raised off of it in like a bas relief formation. Rev lets out this like disbelieving expulsion of air, right? Like from the back of her mouth, and turns around, right? Black feather cape whipping. They didn't defeat it. It just left?
I mean, that's good news for us, right? Maybe it'll just leave.
Maybe it got bored?
No, Khaarvach Turai, she said she left this message for you as an apology, Dewey. She's saying, I mean, the sign-off, she's telling you we'll win, but she can't guarantee that.
She doesn't know that.
Yeah, she's fucking dead. She's been dead for thousands of years, and if it's back, I mean, this opened with a, I'm sorry, it's back, you're fucked.
Maybe V, like, grumbles for a bit inaudibly, and then, did they survive way back then because they didn't have to finish the job? And now we have to?
Are you implying that our predecessors purposefully slacked off?
I mean, it could. Why else would you apologize if you didn't, you yourself, screw up? If they screwed up, they didn't do what they had to do.
It doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't? They were the protectors of the realms. They were heroes of the people. They destroyed the old corruptive order, and they established Andake as we know her. Why would they allow this thing? Why would they allow the greatest evil Andake's ever known to get away?
Well, if they established it, then maybe they were worried about what would happen if they were gone. Who leads when the leaders all die?
But there's no way they would have known the stranger would have just left. If they didn't pour everything into fighting it. I mean, it's a world-ending monstrosity. Surely they must have known that as well. They would have poured every iota of resource they had into fighting that thing. Our dreams, V, Dewey, our dreams of being on that battlefield, of seeing the faces of the past paragons, it feels desperate, doesn't it? They would have known how apocalyptic its presence was. They wouldn't have underestimated it. If there's no Andake for them to steward after, what's the point?
V kind of lets out a little bit of a chuckle. Let's look at the current paragons. Me, you, Rev, Dewey, Oka. Maybe they just weren't. We're just getting by. We're just trying to do our best, right? And
we're all fallible.
Yeah.
They say in here that the paragons had to be perfect. I felt that in the championship. I felt that all the eyes on me, I had to be perfect. I had to be somebody I wasn't. It was so weird and difficult and stressful.
So, I mean, I feel that too. In the court, just look at how Sitlali treated me. They tried to kill me in single combat so they could claim my title, my perfection. It's nothing but an image, and looks like our predecessors felt that too. That has to be Huan Ustoy, the previous paragon of Mengshen Zhidi. She was the one who told the other paragons not to tell the truth. Not because of maliciousness, but because, well, they had to look perfect.
Well, if there's anyone who can relate to not telling the truth, it's a V-Knock Shurzo.
And if there's anyone who can relate to not being perfect, it's a Dewey quirk.
What if you told the truth?
Oh boy, that is a... Oh, could you imagine if we went to the Alliance of the Eight and be like, surprise, we're actually pretty valuable, and quite frankly, our predecessors weren't that great either, and...
It just sounds like a lot of pressure to walk around and have to try to be perfect when around some people, but not other people. And I mean, I guess we all wear masks sometimes, but what if you could tell the truth? What if the thing that the predecessors messed up was not being truthful, and that's why the prophecy didn't work? With the paragons dying and the stranger being defeated. A lot of things with paragons I have seen is not just like fighting.
I think V lets out a heavy sigh. If we don't give everyone else in Andake hope, they're gonna rip each other apart trying to run from this thing. We're gonna cause panic, and people will get hurt in ways that we could have avoided.
Could it not be inspiring that a paragon can be, a V or a Dewey? Instead of it being V or Dewey?
Have you met Taktoa Kagan? She's absolutely chomping at the bit to... Oh, okay.
Yes.
I wasn't sure. She's absolutely chomping at the bit to take this role away from me. I don't think admitting...
Sidebar, Dewey, we all saw a Bhikkhu leave Taktoa Kagan's tent like a million times during the week we were preparing, right? Not to mention the send-off.
It was a figure of speech.
Okay.
Bhikkhu just kind of touches up her hair.
Yep, sorry, just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. Continue.
She does chomp.
Ah, a Bhikkhu.
You made a joke.
Forget my metaphor.
This is serious. I am sorry. You're right.
There would be a grab for power if we were like, hey, some of us aren't going to cut it as paragons. Who wants it?
But
like, Taco is over.
Stan, they can't have it? Like, it doesn't work like that, right?
We've said that. We said that to Taktoa. We've said that to other people trying.
Still trying.
I know that intimately. Again, Sitlali tried to kill me to become Paragon, and obviously that didn't work.
Right.
We can't... V and Dewey are right, Abiku. We can't look weak. in times of crisis, people need strength. There's
Yes.
something appealing about an everyman hero. I understand that, right? Like Dewey and V and us, we're just people. But we're also not just people, Abiku. We were chosen... I don't even know if we were chosen by the 8 at this point. We were chosen by fate. By some force even greater than the gods of Andake. I mean, the Raven Queen, when she entered my soul, it was like being folded in the arms of an old friend. But she said something to me about not expecting it to have been me. The 8 have very little control over who their paragons are as well. We need to look strong.
Whatever you all think is best, I am just here to help and support how I can, and it seemed like I don't know, having, at least with me, no, you don't have to pretend. I know you are strong if you get upset and have a fight in intent, or if you fight a 80-foot tall shadow man.
Thanks, Abiku. V, is it you who has Oka's blood? Did you hold on to that vial?
I think I have it. It's gotta be in here somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was given to Dewey.
Maybe we can use it to call Dr. Aluso? I mean, they're like a total nerd, right? They'll know stuff about crypts and tombs and weird inscriptions and stuff.
I think that would probably be a good bet to try to call the good doctor.
I think we can signal in here, Dewey says, is like he's pouring blood into a bowl, I guess.
What's signal? What is that?
Yeah, is that some type of URL thing?
I just don't know if it's gonna work. And he lifts up the bowl.
Yeah, you like uncork the disgusting vial Oka left for you. Yep. You pour this thick crimson liquid into the silver scrying bowl, and as soon as you do, like the edges of the bowl like light up with like sigils, right? Ding 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 ding, ding, like runes light up. And all of you maybe like crowd over it while it's like sat on like a step right in the middle of the cryptic wall, sort of like, like cats looking over a fallen phone while it's going on for FaceTime, right? The surface of the blood ripples and then grows taut, like a bed sheet being stretched on either side, right? It ripples and grows taut, and then it glistens, turns into a mirror-like substance, and poof, all 3 of you get a flash of Dr. Aluso's face. You see them like in the bowl, right? Those crystal blue eyes with spectacles, right? Their hair shaved on the sides with this crop of blonde on top. They, as always, seem to have had the scrying bowl mounted, right? At like a more flattering angle, like on the wall in front of their desk. They're looking at you like directly, like it's a Zoom call, right? And they seem to be writing furiously, right? Like with a quill. And they don't notice you for like a few moments. Hello. Dewey, V, Rev, Abiku, hi. Are you okay?
Hey, yeah, we're good. We are in this crypt.
Dewey, you're so funny. Hey, yeah, we're good. We're in this crypt.
What's up, What's up, YouTube? I'm in this crypt.
Give bits now for me to ransack these bones.
Oh my god.
For just 500 gold pieces, V will rob this crypt.
Okay, we're streaming to an audience of 1.
We need to work on our content, sure. Yeah, it's called networking too. Yeah. Okay, we're just so meta. V like jumps in. Doctor, so we're in this crypt. Dewey was adamant. I don't think everything is fine though, because we've got this message from the previous.
There's a letter from
Paragon.
Khaarvach. We failed. And Rev like juts like pushes like kind of past like Dewey and V and just I think explains everything. Right? It just comes out in a tumble. Like they talk about the inscription, they paraphrase it, They like, get in front of you a little bit, Dewey. Like she like covers like half of your beak, right? Like with her like bulk. And when she's when she's done talking, Dr. Aluso, who's paused in like writing whatever like letter they were writing, their eyes have gone a little wide, right? They're like nodding along. They let out like a breath. They actually get up physically from their desk and begin to pace. This isn't good. This isn't good at all. I'd had my hunch that something about the first Stranger War wasn't quite right. I mean, why hadn't the Paragons left warnings like this in plain view to the other Paragons? Why aren't the Stranger's weaknesses more well documented? Why don't more people in Andake know that our world was almost consumed by darkness millennia ago? But this all makes sense. They had to keep up an image. And they didn't know. They didn't know anything about the Stranger. I mean, based on this letter Khaarvach left you, they didn't know what it wanted at all. You're in Khaarvach's tomb right now, right? The crypt underneath the Golden Hill?
Yes, correct.
It's getting dark out. Evening will roll in soon. This is an odd suggestion, but I think the four of you should sleep there tonight.
Abiku gets in front of in the crypt.
Yes, inside the crypt. You don't have to crawl into a tomb, like into someone's casket. But I think you should sleep there with the letter. How do I put this? Oka. I was with Oka. I was with the Dabathati crew. A lot has happened in Dabathati. There was a Chrysalis conference, and there was the Chrysalis. It can't. Long story. Ravi. You remember Ravi, right? Dewey? V?
Yes.
She died. And Oka was really torn up about it, so they laid Ravi's body to rest at this blood hunter temple in the scrublands, the Jadidan scrublands to the south of Dabathati. And while by the temple, Oka fell asleep in a hole, and they had a dream about Bazul, the previous paragon of Yudabathi, because the blood hunter temple is dedicated to Yudabathi. So Bazul told Oka about how the connections between the past and the present and mysticism is stronger in places of holy worship. So maybe you'll get, I don't know, visions or prophetic dreams, answers if you sleep there tonight. It's worth a shot.
We did just fight off the most disgusting ball of limbs I've ever encountered in this place, though. And you want us to have a sleepover?
Is it dead?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Dr. Lusso shrugs and nods. Then you should be okay.
We also have someone with us who doesn't really need to sleep. V looks to Abiku.
Yeah, back. Yes, it's just very cramped. There's not a lot of space for resting.
And we pull out and we see it's a massive crypt chamber. You know what I mean? With tons of space around the central inscription. We go back into into the scrying bowl. Really? That's surprising.
Yeah, yes.
Given the fact that Khaarvach was a gigantic centaur woman and had a thing for, appearing huge. Surprising that she'd be buried in such a small chamber.
Well, I am big. I do not know how big she was, but I am very big.
Abiku? Are you
Yes.
scared of crypts?
No.
Abiku, are you lying?
Abiku is not afraid of crypts. Abiku is afraid of being in full view while resting with everyone.
Okay. Why don't you, anyone who wants to can insight check Abiku at this juncture, I think, to see what's going on with Abiku. Is she scared of zombie attacks or something, or is there something
We
deeper?
all know her insight scores, so it's so low.
You can roll deception or performance to contest the insight if you want, Abiku, or you can let people roll.
I'll try.
Do you roll a 10? How's Abiku's roll compare?
You got 15.
Abiku got a 4.
Abiku is an open book, if you ask her.
What do people see when they look at you, Abiku? Why are you reluctant to sleep here?
I think you see her just I think she starts talking, she's there are no walls to sit behind. Everything is just open. I think you pick up on the fact that it's an open area, everyone's visible. So far when people have rested, she's always gone into her tent and you don't know, everyone's good night and she goes into her tent and usually doesn't come back out.
Well, we can set up a watch order like usual. I can also cast alarm in this area, so if anything bad enters or appears or is summoned, we'll know immediately. I can set it to be a really annoying, high-pitched noise, or perhaps a cawing of a murder of crows. I think I'll do that. Stop giving me that look, Dewey. It's called an aesthetic that you stick to as a paragon.
It's my brand, okay?
Oh, Dewey has an aesthetic. Don't worry.
Right, it's just not very intimidating.
Sure. Maybe so. We maybe set up like a little bubble to sleep in. Maybe Abiku, you can pitch a tent if you really feel like it. Sleep over in the crypt.
Fantastic, says Dr. Lusso inside the blood bowl. Make sure to update me on what happens when you wake up. If you do have any prophetic dreams or any visions that will answer all of our questions and tell us how to defeat the stranger, make sure to write that down so you don't forget. Please. So I want everyone, if it's okay, and like Dr. Lusso kind of takes on like a teacher, like tone of voice, right? Like a preschool teacher or something. Like, make sure you take out a sheaf of paper or parchment or a journal and lay it open next to your bedroll. Please, we can't keep forgetting important details. Please.
Is this a plea? Is Dr. Lusso or Connie?
I don't know
Yes,
if I can tell
absolutely.
the difference personally right now.
If I get one more text about what was that lore drop, I swear.
Is there anything else to report? Any questions or anything for me? Sorry, I've just been harangued by alliance meetings every day, it feels.
Oh, dragons are also people.
Huh?
Always good to talk to you, Doc.
Hold on, Cardew. Can I have some context for that, Abiku?
Yes, I had a vision or dream or memory. I don't know. I could like move around, like a lucid dream, but I don't really dream. Anyway, there were dragons. I was fighting them. They were also people. They could like change into people.
Oh, you've never dreamed before, Abiku. Dragons who turned into people, that...
Yes.
Actually, that makes me think of some lore from the 1,000-Year War. Dragons, or so it is said, true dragons could shapeshift at will. Many of them had a preferred humanoid appearance, as well as their true draconic form. It was in their true draconic forms that they were at their most powerful, but also their most vulnerable. Because if you kill a dragon while they're in their full dragon form, then they die permanently.
Oh, they died as people too. Also, giants can shapeshift.
Huh. Well, I might have to dig through my 1,000-Year War literature, and Dr. Lusso adjusts the side of their glasses to learn more about shapeshifting giants. But it's possible that giants could also assume, well, a gigantic form, and then shrink back down to a more respectable 8 or 10 feet. But again, a vulnerable state.
Vika kind of like, I just thought you wanted to know, and then like kind of bends out of frame.
Goodbye, Viku. Dewey, Rev, V, any other updates or questions for me?
I think it probably is good for us to also mention when we were in the chasm, we had a dream that wasn't like our normal dream.
What do you mean?
It was kind of just excruciating pain for 8 straight hours. It was not pleasant. But we were sleeping in the chasm, around the chasm, and it was different. It was a different dream. There was no stranger in the fight, and it's just pain.
Yeah, the details escape me now, but V's right. It was just pain and this sense of, I don't know, a mother? Right?
Yes.
A mother? Well, we do know that the URL, Dr. Ting referred to, well, what we assume to be the stranger as mother. Perhaps that's odd. In the chasm, really. I've always had my suspicions about the chasm. It's always had odd readouts, especially deep within. If I have time between alliance meetings, I'll see how far I can go down and maybe take a look around. I'll talk to the Kui as well, the Hoofbright clan, to see what they know.
Excellent. I think that's all I've got.
I'm sorry about that dream, V. That sounds excruciating.
Yeah, it was pretty unsettling, but we had to keep moving on. We're hot on the trail of Galtanger, aren't we, Dewey?
Always good talking to you, Doc.
Oh, okay. Bye. The blood like swirls again with that awkward hang up. Rev also like waves goodbye, right? As a crimson eddy like washes Dr. Luce's face away, and then it's just blood again. You're gonna pour that back into Oka's vial, right?
I guess.
We don't want to attract blood termites.
Blood termites?
I don't like that you know that.
They're a common pest in the Polluto Weald. Attracted to corpses. They can swim. It's a thing.
All right.
You never ran into blood termites while you were in the court? You're all over the swamp.
All right. Dewey hastily tries to pour from a bowl into a small vial.
Right. Do you use a funnel? Do you carry a funnel?
No, I don't have a funnel.
Okay, you pour maybe like some blood like goes off like your hand, ew, and like around the vial, yeah, and you pour it and you cork it. And at this point, Rev is like setting up camp. She's like taking her pack off, like pouring, like tearing through it, like taking out tents, bedrolls, flint stones to like make a fire, right? Because it's getting kind of cold in here, etc. So tell me, how did the three of you like wind down for the night?
I think starting, V's gonna help and actually get like the little bonfire set up, and actually just a new skill of hers. All of her playing with fire, she's learned to control it just to get a create bonfire situation. So lights a little bonfire in the middle of camp. And I think V is also from that conversation with Dr. O, probably thinking about the carnival when she ran into her father in that illusionary place. Wondering now, like, well, maybe that really is what my father looks like. Maybe not. I don't know. And yeah, I think she's just thinking a lot about dragons tonight.
Your mind is like consumed by like images of dragons, your father, the carnival. All of this has left a lot for 1V Noksherzel to chew on. As maybe you cast bonfire on a pile of logs that Rev has set up, and you begin to like unroll a bedroll. What about you, Abiku?
I think the first thing I'm gonna do is, I know at least the smell is not great, and I think over the bonfire, I'm gonna druidcraft the smell of like peony petals or something. So like, and over the fire, because it can't be like the whole room, but then the fire will like carry the smell because it'll waft throughout the room, so the room smells a little bit nicer than like the grossest corpse of corpses I've ever seen.
With a poof of magic, the weave twangs, and before the smell of peonies wafts up from the smoke and begins to fill this chamber, Abiku, you and you alone get just like a quick burst of lavender as you cast this spell, and then it just sort of subsides, like settling over your shoulders like pollen.
I think she will just sit. Abiku sits. Damn. Cool. Until people are settled in and ready to talk.
Speaking of which, Dewey, how are you winding down?
Dewey, after helping set up tents or whatever, he spends a little while sitting at the top of the steps, kind of just gazing up at the mural and the inscription, like he's studying it further. But if someone were to like tap him on the shoulder, he'd be like, huh? And they're like, what does it say? And he'd be like, he isn't actually studying it.
At the top of the stairs, you look up at the tomb. It's huge. You're like 3 or 4 of me's could fit in that tomb a little bit. The inscription itself, right, on like a stone tablet, and behind it, a stone sun, the rays of Galtanger spoking out, right, like the spikes on a wheel, crawling across like the left and right side of this chamber and then into the hallway you came down from, right? This huge mural. Just looking at the sun, you sat at the base, neck craned, staring up at it. And as you gaze up into this like carved version of Galtanger, seems to gaze back at you, right? Like the rays getting bigger and bigger. And Dewey, what feeling washes over you looking up at this representation of the god you're supposed to accept into your soul?
I think he just keeps going over the last lines of the inscription that were like, I'm sorry, and he just keeps thinking, I don't want to have to write that letter.
As you're thinking that, like, maybe even unbidden, like you see a flash of Uilani's face. like across your mind's eye, followed by like a childish giggle and a flash of Hana's face as you think of all the things you don't want to have to pass on after you're gone, even if that has to happen. And eventually I think the person who does tap you on the shoulder is Rev, who's just tap unceremoniously. Are you gonna set up your bedroll? Because V and I are claiming tent space.
Oh, yeah, sure. Sorry, just doing more research. And he closes up a notebook that's, like, empty. There's nothing written in it.
Hey, Dewey. Listen. Pascal never left anything for me. I received a vision of them when the Raven Queen entered my soul. But that was it. And I know this message isn't very affirming, but I think maybe Khaarvach meant well. I would rather have even a dour message from Pascal than none at all.
Yeah, it is maybe not the most reassuring, but it is nice to know that someone else was in this position.
All right, I'm gonna grill some vegetables for you over the fire. And you don't mind if I use the same sticks to grill meat, right? Or should I?
I can help with cooking.
Okay. And that was like, as you like, Rev goes back down the steps, she goes, I don't want to cook anyway. You know, like, she had like suckered you into cooking that night. Right, she goes down the steps. And I think like with that, you know, the fire beginning to crackle, right, vegetable and meat skewers going over the fire, the smell of like roasting spices starting to fill the chamber along with the smell of peonies. Even though we can't see it, you're sure that the sunless, starless sky outside has darkened into a fully deep obsidian at this point. And like a kind of dark chill also settles over your camp area, except like the fire's keeping everyone warm.
I think while eating one of like the meat sticks, V's gonna be like, you know, it is comforting to know that thousands of years ago these paragons had the exact same problems as us.
Is it comforting to you? Because it kind of feels hopeless to me. Like, okay, I don't want to be a downer here. Disheartening.
The way I look at it is maybe it opens up the possibility that there's a door opening that we kick the can 10,000 years down the road to the next group. I'm optimistic. I'm more optimistic about the whole thing.
Please don't, because I don't know why I came back, and I'm worried that I would come back again.
What if you had already come back during the first Stranger War?
That's what I'm saying. For
now
like,
you're back
I've done
here.
this before. This is... And if I did choose my type, that'd be a problem. Points back to the mural.
Okay, so you need someone to kick you out of this reincarnation cycle so you stop.
Yes.
Sleeping with the wrong people.
Yes.
Wow, we are so much more alike than I knew, Abiku.
That is good. We both know about dragons. And sleep with the wrong people? And looks at her.
No.
Paragons, I guess.
I broke the cycle. I broke the cycle.
Is that what you broke, V? Or was it my trust just now?
No, I broke the cycle. Look, I've told you about Sievert.
Yes, Sievert. Oh, what Dr. Aluso said about the Chrysalis conference. I thought the Chrysalis were supposed to kill Sievert for you. Wasn't that the whole point of the pact you made with Adam?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I thought I just sort of like blew him off, literally. They failed. They failed their end of the bargain, so obviously when I have my time, those Chrysalis folks, they're gonna
or maybe they weren't
too.
intending to uphold their end of the bargain this entire time. Based on what Dr. Aluso said, seems like the Chrysalis pulled a fast one over the Dabathati crew as well.
He worded it. There was the Chrysalis, and then there was the Chrysalis.
Right. What does that mean? We never followed up about Dewey. I wanted to follow up about that, but then you hung up on Dr. Aluso.
What do you mean by hung up? This is weird.
Sorry, let me retcon that. Rev wouldn't know what hanging up means. Dewey, I wanted to follow up with Dr. Aluso, but then he had to do the swirly goodbye thing.
We have to come up with a better name for that. That swirly goodbye.
You could just say you ended the message?
That's just
and
so
call.
vague. What's call?
What's
You
a
know,
call?
like calling out.
Like when you call out for someone, you know, you're like,
Yes.
Rev, like you call out, but you call out to Dr. Oluso, even though he's very far.
I like that actually. Yeah. Back on track. You shouldn't have ended the call with Dr. Oluso so early. We had more follow-up questions, Cardu. Now I have to wait until morning for that blood thing to recharge.
Yeah, Dewey.
We'll have plenty more to talk to Dr. Oluso about in the morning. Hopefully not, but
So speaking of morning, I will not be able to take a watch.
What?
what?
Why? You don't need to sleep.
No, but I need to rest, and so I will not be able to take a watch.
But we all need to rest. That's why we're taking turns, I thought.
I could ask Sun to take my turn.
Is Sun particularly good at keeping watch?
I don't know. Whenever they do it, I am not there.
Abiku, are you keeping more secrets from us?
Yes.
Do you want to share these secrets with us?
Maybe.
We won't judge you for them, but if there's information that would be helpful to us to understand
It's
what
not
you're
helpful. It's mostly just terrifying.
It's gonna take a lot to scare someone like me. Maybe not Dewey, but me.
Dewey,
Well-
cover your ears.
No, I'm curious now.
When I have to rest, which I try to avoid, besides when we take a sit, you know, drink some water for a few minutes, when I need to rest to replenish my magic and the power I give to Sun, I sort of die.
Huh?
What do you mean,
I-
sort of?
Sorta die?
For 8 hours straight, I become motionless and unable to be stirred. I'm still like awake, like I am conscious, so it's kind of terrifying because like everything's going on around me, but I'm like stuck. Like when some people have a hard time waking up, you know, when they like feel like they're like falling, but they like are asleep and they can't wake up all the way.
That's horrible. And you have to
Yes.
stay like that for 8 hours?
Yes. I usually cry, so I like to be in private.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, Abiku, why don't you take it off? Take it easy tonight. You know, you can go in a tent, face one of the walls here if you want some
Okay,
privacy.
you won't hear me because I can't move, but
Okay. Yeah, why don't we, and Rev's like looking at Dewey and V, let Abiku cry silently while stuck in a persistent sleep paralysis state tonight, and the three of us and Sun can pass off watch duties.
Sounds like a good idea. Thank you for
Sure.
sharing that, Abiku. That was, I'm sure that was difficult to share, but no, I'm glad you let us know.
oh, yes, I'm trying to not keep secrets because I'm bad at it.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Well, thank you for telling us, Abiku.
It seemed important. I can usually make it a few days, but then we fought that thing and it was kind of a lot.
Yeah, that thing was disgusting. All right, Rev stands up, cracks her knuckles. I'm gonna cast Alarm just around the periphery of where we're staying. I can take first watch, I don't mind.
Okay. Just to clarify, is Abiku staying in the tent, or are you and V also going to stay in the tent?
Oh, well, we have several tents. V and I
Okay.
always share a tent. Dewey, is that your way of asking if you... Are you scared from Abiku's tale? Do you want to sleep with V and me? Would that make you feel better?
Dewey can stay in the
Certainly
tent.
not.
I will just sit against this. Abika goes up to a wall. I can just sit against this wall.
No, that's okay. You
No,
should-
really, it's fine.
Don't you think that Dewey should like sleep right by that inscription just in case, you know, something really calls? I think
Actually, maybe I will take the tent.
Right. Yeah, maybe Abiku, you hand the tent over to Dewey as he starts to set it up, right? And Abiku, you find a good place to face the wall or like sleep against the wall, right? And like stare off into the middle distance. Rev like finishes setting up this like alarm circle, just etching runes along the entire massive periphery of this chamber. You feel like the weave sort of tighten into like a web, like a half-domed web around the top, around all of you. And V, I assume you put up the finishing touches on your and Rev's tent together.
Yeah. And I think V at one point like looks to Abiku while the setting up is going, but like, I would really love to get inside that head of yours sometime.
Do you have a way to? You're welcome.
Really?
Yes.
And V thinks about the time where she like went inside Rev's head to see all the stuff that happened.
I don't know what you'll find in there. I can't promise you'll be safe, but you're more than welcome. If you find something interesting, please tell me. It does not seem to listen to me.
Your memories don't. Well, I suppose that's true. You keep falling. V like looks around like, is this a good time and place? Is this? V like strolls over to Abiku and all right. I really want to know about dragons as she's like casting detect thoughts and really wanting to probe in to the inner workings of Abiku's mind, the best of her ability.
Oh man, good luck.
Okay. V, you cast Detect Thoughts, and it's just like the time you cast Detect Thoughts on Rev as you like look at Abiku into those like pure white, cloudy, misty eyes, right? That dark skin with like storm billowing across her cheeks, and you plunge in between her eyes and into her mindscape, right? Like a pin, an icicle, a droplet of water, binging onto the surface of a lake. We see like ripples emanate from that point of contact. As Detect Thoughts, that spear of your own psionic energy lances into Abiku. And you enter her mind. The surface of her mind, because Detect Thoughts like gives you a freebie, is, what's an apt metaphor here? If people's minds are like houses, right? Or rooms in a house, then Rev's would be an old, dilapidated manor, right? That used to be austere, that has a thin layer of dust over things, cobwebs in the corners, but this sense of like opulence and a deeply loved, like dark velvet feeling. That would be Rev's, right? With like trees growing through rotted wood. Your mindscape, perhaps, would be a well-guarded museum or perhaps a palace overflowing with gold, as Rev had joked once. Abiku's is a pillaged home. It's ransacked. Like a beautiful, formerly gilded palace with precious artifacts inside comprising her memories that have just been smashed and scattered everywhere. Being inside Abiku's mind is like being inside a fucking cyclone. There are just memories swirling all over you, threatening to like whip against your own consciousness and shatter, right? Shatter you and miss like Abiku's own torn psyche. What do you do?
I think V is going to look around and be taken back by just how messy this is and how violent this place is. But she's determined. She's looking for dragons and memories of dragons. And she's gonna continue to go a little bit deeper into this house and looking for any type of symbol of that dragons in her memory.
Make an Arcana check.
14.
Okay, that's a middling roll. So I think what happens is you shout dragon into this blustering, vicious void, and you see several strands of light light up in response, right? These thick, like purple plumes, almost like ghostly wisps, just like swirling around the psionic, shattered mindscape. And with a 14, one of them comes hurtling at you, right? Like a shark smelling blood in the water. It like cuts through the other memories toward you and blasts against your body. And V, thinking dragon, inside Abiku's head, the memory that comes up is a series of fractured images. First of all, the intense, overwhelming smell of lavender. And then you see a flash of a gold-flecked eye. And then a flash of purple silk. And then you see a gleam of like a pearly white like tooth against like a full-lipped smile. You see dark skin, darker than black, this beautiful, dark, rich skin. And you also see, like, thick, I think, twists, like black twists of hair, like falling in front of a plump, regal face. And then you can't hold on any longer, V, without taking massive damage from being inside Abiku's head. So I think you're, like, torn out of Abiku's mindscape, as this lingering breath of dragon expels you, with a puff of lavender smell yet again.
Yeah, and V like sort of like shakes back and like takes several steps back, and like her brain, while not injured, is like now she has like a wicked migraine because like that memory just like really, again, thinking of the violence of Abiku's memories is like it was attempted like almost the idea of a sharp dagger or something in V's mind. She's like, Abiku, you've got some. No wonder you don't remember much.
Okay, so it was bad?
I would say just needs, I think, a little bit of tidying up, a little bit of cleanup, perhaps a little bit of obedience training. Your memories are violent, very violent.
Well, I did kill a lot of people, at least once, so.
I saw this purple with gold eyes, black swirling hair, smell of lavender.
I do keep smelling. I do like the color lavender. It's my favorite color.
What about the smell?
It does smell nice.
But none of that rings a bell to you.
No. I do keep smelling lavender, so that's like not shocking, but I could not tell you what. Well, okay, so no. Sorry, I thought I had something.
Well,
did you find dragons?
Whatever I was describing, it was too shattered for me to fully get the picture, but Connie, it's not a stretch to say that felt like dragon, would it? The images I got.
You said you put out dragon into the void, and the void responded with this image.
So yeah, I thought of dragons, and this is what I saw: purple skin, gold eyes, black hair, smell of lavender. Didn't like that I was there.
Okay, that's okay. So so dragon and didn't like you. I mean, I got nothing, but that's good too. That's new. So dragon, purple, lavender, gold, didn't like you.
Sharp tooth.
Well, dragons should have sharp teeth. That's all new stuff.
Well, I'm glad I could be of some use. That was, I think I might think twice about the next time I go in your mind. I might need to be a little more prepared for that. That was intense.
That is fair. Thank you. I'm sorry you did not find. If I remember stuff about dragons, I will make sure to tell you.
I appreciate it, friend.
We are friends?
Of course. I didn't even make you pay a fee for a fee. I made Dewey pay for my friendship.
Oh.
Don't worry, though. You're good. You're good.
Oh, great.
You've got something in here that's just as valuable as paying
that's good.
for my
I don't have a lot of money. I don't know what to use it for, so I just kept giving it to Costas.
Well, you're a very generous woman. I appreciate that about you. It's you're far more generous than I, but I know what it's like to not have any gold, so.
Oh, people just give me things.
You can make a pretty good living when people just give you things. And I think V is like, still like nursing the migraine, like kind of like looking over to like her tandem.
Definitely just like blank staring at you. She doesn't know how to end conversations.
All right. I hope you enjoy your 8 hours of paralysis crying.
I mean, I will not, but thank you for these sentiments.
Yeah, if I can do anything to make your terrible experience more comfortable, just be over.
Okay. I will be unable to let you know.
Oh yeah, no, understandable, but thank you for all that you do.
You're welcome.
And V goes off to Rev in her tent.
Yeah. Rev has set up your tent, has fluffed up the pillow how you like it, like extra blankets for you, right? Like has even put out like some of the grasses that she's kept with magic, like frozen in like a perfectly picked time of the flowers that you picked for her before you set out, like are like by like, you know, the front of the bed, like the non-bed, like the pillows, right? She nods and like opens up the tent flap for you to enter, and you see this like beautiful little display.
Oh my goodness. You've made a little paradise in a tomb.
Well, I figured someone like you, who's used to rolling around in high places and also slumming it out in low places, deserves a little luxury.
I think V like blushes a little bit and like, oh, I love you so much.
I love you too. I'll see you when I end my shift. I can wake you.
Sounds good.
And V, you enter this like cute little tent. As Dewey, I think at this point you've also finished setting up a tent for yourself, right? Abiku gets to take the outside. And I think with that, like, the night settles in. Rev takes first watch as V and Dewey, the two of you, drift off into slumber, and Abiku, you settle into a paralytic state, leant up against the wall.
You are a little bit different from everybody, but not a lot different. They keep statues of execution to harrow their spirit. You keep secret pictures of dead people in your underwear drawer. because you find it erotic. You are a little bit different from me, but not a lot different. I hide in my blood, and you want to drink it. And I want you to drink it. Because you are made of food that I cannot eat. Because I am made of food that I cannot eat. was from a witch who was born of many gender. I learned to see a light. I learned to watch it glitter. I learned a secret from the light. I learned to watch it dancing. I learned to swallow light, to illuminate my darkness. I learned to feel love when I look upon my dark things. I learned this from a witch who was born of many gender. I learned to see a light. I learned to watch it glitter. I learned a secret from the light. I learned to watch it dancing. I learned to swallow light to illuminate my darkness. I learned to feel love when I look upon my dark things. I learned this from a witch who was born of many gender. I learned to see a light. I learned to watch it glitter. I learned a secret from the light. I learned to watch it dance.
Content warnings for this episode include fantasy violence, body horror, gore, monsters and monstrosity, death and killing, apocalypse, trauma, flirting and romance, and complex and complicated relationships.
Two of you dream. Dewey, I think while Rev is still keeping watch, we push through the tent flap, right? To where you're curled up on your bedroll, head on your pillow. To see maybe we push in on your eyelids, and we see that your eyes are moving very rapidly, underneath your eyelids, right? Maybe you're even twitching, jerking a little, groaning very quietly in your sleep. Dewey, what happens to you?
I think Dewey's legs and arms are twitching a little bit, and one of them just goes a little bit too violently, and he hits the side of the tent, and it wakes him up. And he sort of takes a moment and, I don't know, gets up to go get a drink of water to go pee or something. And if Rev is taking watch, he's gonna try and he looks at her out of the corner of his eye and tries to find a moment where she's sort of, dozing off maybe. And he goes back up the steps of the dais.
Ooh, without Rev seeing? You're gonna take a turn about the crypt?
Yes.
Okay. Rev's back is turned to you. Her face is squarely fixed on the only entrance and exit into this place.
Mm-hmm.
Smartly, right? So, and you creep up these cold, underneath your feet. The steps are so cold. A thin layer of frost has rimed and crystallized into existence over the course of the night. And your cold feet sort of slap over the tile as you begin to walk up toward where this raised dais is.
And Dewey's just whispering as quietly as he can, Khaarvach. Khaarvach. What does this mean? What did you mean? Khaarvach, are you here? I can't do this. Khaarvach.
Dewey? I love this. Take inspiration, first of all. And second of all, I think you're whispering this as you reach the top of the dais, maybe in front of the tomb itself, and the inscription, and you're just sort of entreating with supplicating palms. And as you say this, it's almost like a kind of dreamy haze sort of drifts in on the sides of your vision, but it's happening in such a way that you don't even really notice it until it's happening. How sometimes when you're in deep slumber and in dreams, and dreams transition from one place to another, you don't notice it when it's happening because you're dreaming, right? And this it's almost like a sun-smoked haze. Almost like the bas-relief stone-carved sun behind the tomb is radiating warmth, right? And a kind of misty golden warmth. And as you're entreating Khaarvach, you hear a voice from behind you. What do you mean, Juan?
It's not Juan, it's just me, Dewey.
You turn around as you say these startled words. And as on the movement of you turning, Dewey, you turn and you're on top of a hill. This hill is washed crimson. not because the grass here grows red, but because the sky above you is the color of blood. And all around you on the horizon, you see strobes of like void lightning between these massive, like thousands of eyes, just all over the atmosphere, spanning horizon to horizon. And in the far distance, you see the stranger, bigger than the world, having cracked open the flesh of Andake, the flesh of the 8 realms. But that's in the distance. It's still happening. Its feathered wings dripping with black, tarry, oblivious gore onto the ground, spawning monsters in the distance, right? It's so massive, but it's also so far away. And you also see in the distance like army camps, like massive like groups of people just like pulled around the feet of this stranger. You see like a ballistae going, like launching massive catapults at the body of this thing, and like on the ground, soldiers like skirmishing with like monsters. But that's happening really far away. They look like toy soldiers, right? You're at the top of the hill, and you see 8 people sat around a bonfire talking strategy. The paragons of the 8 realms are currently dressed in their military finest. And the person who just spoke, a proud centaur woman, Khaarvach Turai, her body covered in these like elaborate tattoos. She's like topless, right? She's got this like golden bow strapped to her back with no like quiver of arrows in sight, right? She's got like this like proud like length of hair like coiled right down her like rippling muscles, and she's currently like pacing, like her hooves sort of stomping over and over the grass around this like bonfire, where you see like various like extremely unique looking people that you recognize as the past paragons sat around this fire talking. And Khaarvach is addressing a woman across the fire, a half-elf woman with this long black hair, this dark skin, and as she talks, you see like an eye has sort of opened sideways on her throat, right? And it's sort of like blinking along with her 2 mismatched colored eyes. And you recognize her immediately from the Dream Shield. Way back when you were first entering Tulong, this is Huan Ustoy, Paragon of Mungshan Jirdi. She's dressed in these like plain robes and is sitting like very calmly just on her knees in front of a gutian. And she's sort of currently plucking at it and playing really calming music. But Khaarvach is like kind of distraught, anxious, like low growling voice cuts through like the music. Huan, we need answers. Why does it want to destroy us? Why is it here? You're the paragon of knowledge. What can you tell us, please? And Huan, still plucking at this gutian, you watch as her like long straight black hair like falls into her face, and without even looking up at Khaarvach, she says, promiscuous teleology is the belief that things serve a purpose or have a purpose when they don't. Water doesn't want to run or form into snow. Wind doesn't want to blow. The stranger doesn't want to destroy us. It has some other directive, serves some other goal that is currently obscured from us. And Khaarvach, this centaur lady, like stomps her like 4 like hooves onto the ground and just says, what? And cutting in is this kind of like shadowy person. They're made of just like pure, it appears like black wisps of just tenebrous fabric. Like they're like glitching almost like in and out of time and space. It's just like looking at a tornado, like a living tornado, right? Contained within a humanoid, vaguely humanoid shape. They don't really have a face, you know, except for this like pure golden swirling disc embedded in the center of their body, right? They're sat down with like one arm propped on their knee, and Shuhai cuts in and says, she's saying she doesn't know. You could have just said that, Ustoy. It's not that simple. It never is with you. This is fucking ridiculous. Our troops need help. I'm gonna go commune. Khaarvach, we can't always rely on our gods to give us all the answers. They don't know either. Mungshan Jirdi. I don't care about your stupid fucking god of dreams. I need a breather. And Khaarvach like turns around, right, and stomps away. And Huan just continues like plucking at the Gutsien, right, as Shuhai like chuckles at the conflict. And off, like, standing by the edge of the cliff, Ying Jalt, this gold-skinned tiefling. It's just sort of has like their arms crossed over like their chest and is sort of tisking to themselves and like looking out over the battlefield and like ignoring all this infighting. And Dewey, as Khaarvach stomps off, like, time and space sort of fold and bend around you, right? Like you're suddenly, like, you're in place, but like a tunnel is whooshing around you as you like snap forward in time and space to find Khaarvach in a clearing in a wood, also stained crimson from the blaringly red light all around you. But this wood used to be beautiful. Now, much of it has been reduced to dust from the war against the stranger. And Khaarvach is just kind of like pacing around, muttering to herself. It's sort of like a moment of need, of crisis. And you find yourself standing there amidst the bushes. What do?
I think Dewey tries and like moves within the bushes to get as close to Khaarvach to hear what's going on.
Okay. You notice as you like walk through the bushes, like your body like phases through it. Almost like you're kind of incorporeal or a ghost or not fully here. Like you're watching something that you weren't a part of, but is now being communicated to you in some way.
Can I overhear? Is Khaarvach talking to herself?
Yeah, as you inch closer, you hear like Khaarvach's muttering voice getting louder, right? Like under her breath as she's pacing. Like, guidance. Come on, I need some sort of sign, something, please. Galtanger, please. And you like feel like your feathers ruffle with it, even though you're half incorporeal. A breeze pushes through this grove, through this clearing, and you see like the branches above rustle and like part, and you see shafts of golden light, like the only spot of like non-red in this entire mired landscape, like shaft through, right, like the gaps in the trees, right, fall upon Khaarvach. Khaarvach stops immediately and looks up. Like lets out a quick breath, and you can like almost, even though you're not a blood hunter, you can like almost like hear her heart rate starting to return to normal as like her prayer, her plead is answered in some way. And it's the light that speaks to Khaarvach, emanating warm voice, just teeming with holy divinity, radiates outward from every direction and no direction at once. And Dewey, the god shard of Galtanger, spoke to you through the white calf. But this is not a god shard. This is a full god. And its voice, Galtanger's full voice, cannot be contained by the now. It leaches into every like twang, every string, every fabric of the weave, and even like touches you in your ghostly incorporeal form. Like you're like, God damn, if I spoke up, maybe this Galtanger in the past would even hear me now. That's how powerful this voice feels. Like it transcends space and time. And the voice doesn't speak in language. It doesn't use words. It communicates through feeling, gesture, thought, and magic alone. But because we can't communicate like that as people, as players, I'll translate. The light says in non-language, "My child, what is it? I am always here for you in your time of need." And Khaarvach like paces a little bit, but stays within the periphery of the light. I don't understand. Why us? Why me? I was just a farmer. I was just a peasant. I never asked for this. I had a sister. I had a mother, a father, a family who needed me. Why was I chosen to lead the rebellion against the queen of the valley? Why was I chosen to fight in this never-ending war against this stranger? Why me, Galtanger? And the light responds, "Because you are strong, Khaarvach. You are stronger than you give yourself credit for. Your soul is open to destiny." But what does that mean? Plenty of other people are strong too, stronger than me. I'm just a normal person. And I don't know what I'm doing. Peace, child. Destiny has chosen you.
and you will answer its call. You will win. I am sorry I cannot say more.
What if I don't want to? Can I give this to someone else? Can you choose someone else? I don't want to lose. I don't want to fail. I don't want to let people down. What if we lose and the 8 realms are consumed by blood and Wing and I forever?
You will not lose, because losing as a paragon is simply not an option.
Please, Galtanger, I'm just a person. You're a god. I don't understand what you mean by destiny. Aren't you Destiny? Don't you choose your paragons? Don't we have some say in our own future?
No, and neither do we. You must follow the path laid out for you by destiny, by providence, because to stray is to doom us all. Fight against the stranger and win. If not now, then some other time, but eventually you shall.
And the light begins to dissipate and fade away. Khaarvach is not done talking. She's pacing around. She's reaching for the light with her hands. Please, Galtanger, Radiant One, and she stomps a hoof onto the ground, right? And turns and retreats into the bushes.
And Dewey goes, but they did fail. And if it's okay with you, I think the illusion sort of fades from the edges of his vision, and he finds himself standing right at the edge of the steps, facing up at this giant stone sun that's radiating light on him. And it's jarring to be back in this reality. And he's like, ah, and he steps backwards and he falls off the stairs.
As you step backward and start to fall off the stairs, right? Even as the mists are receding from your eyes, a strong arm catches you. And you're at a main part of you is oh fuck, Rev to the fucking rescue again. But the arm that catches you, though buff, is connected to a torso that's connected to a horse's body. As you turn around and you look up into the face of Khaarvach Tarai. So, you're my successor. It's okay. You're still dreaming.
How am I supposed to do this?
She gently eases you back up onto the step. So she's on the steps below you, and you're above her and you're looking down at her, right? She looks up at you, cocks her shaved head to the side, her dark tattoos just glimmering in this low, ever-present radiant light. Truthfully, Dewey, I don't know. I'm just an echo of a fragment of a memory here. But I do know that Khaarvach always doubted herself. Everyone thought she was this confident, perfectly strong paragon. Thought that I was flawless. But I wasn't. I was never sure of my place in destiny. And yet, here we are. In the crypt of a hero of Kirtal. Funny how history overlooks our failures when we end up saving the world. I'm sorry for putting you in this position, Dewey. I wish I had better answers for you. But I do know I never asked for this hand to be dealt to me. But still I was. And I had to deal with it. Because if I didn't step up, then the people I loved, they'd die.
But you died anyways.
I died happy. My sister and I ended up seeing the world together after the Great Rebuilding, after the stranger left. I died surrounded by friends and family. Not a warrior's death like I always thought I'd have, but a person's death. Normal, peaceful, understated. I wish you could have a death like that too. It's the only right way to go. Freedom, true freedom, from all the burdens that shackle us as paragons. But it appears prophecy has other plans for the second paragons.
If there's a second iteration of paragons, there's no telling how many times this will happen.
That's true. Who's to say Even after the 8 of you sacrifice yourselves and the shards of your gods to stop the stranger a second time around, it won't just come back 10,000 years later. But maybe we'll be better prepared then. Maybe you can tell Andake the truth. Let the 8 realms know exactly what they're up against.
Maybe I get to live whatever you're living in the past, in our dreams.
Something I do know that's nice about being a paragon is even after you die, you're never truly gone. I mean, look at me. I'm here, fragment of an echo of a shard of a memory. My real self is somewhere out there, in the beyond, I think. But there are echoes of me here in the now. And in every story that's told about me, and in every song whispered about us, we live on.
I don't know, that kind of goes against the whole dying a person's death, huh?
It does.
I'm not sure how I can be both.
I wasn't sure either. I don't think it's something you can choose. I think it's something that happens to you. Like destiny. The choices you make, of course, shape what happens. But how you're remembered, that's up to the people. Just make sure, Dewey, that there is a people to remember the 8 of your sacrifices by in the future. You can do this. And Khaarvach raises like a arm and rests a hand on your shoulder. You were chosen by fate. And I'm sorry. And it sucks. And I wish you weren't. And I wish I wasn't either. But here we are. The people we love need us. They always have. And they always will.
Dewey goes to place his hand on Khaarvach's hand on his shoulder.
You feel for just a second solidity and warmth emanating off of her fingers.
Thank you. I'll try to make you proud. Try to make everyone proud.
I know you can, and you will, Dewey. Just remember, the greatest freedom of all is accepting what you can't control and controlling what you can. Neither of us chose this fate. But now that we're here, let's fucking kick some ass. And with that, I think your hand falls onto your shoulder completely as those bare centimeters of space, the fingers disappear. And there's golden ripple of dust, and Khaarvach just vanishes in front of your eyes. And I think there's a moment where you actually step into actually being awake now, and this kind of warm, pillowy, gentle feeling just disappears completely, and you're back in actually in reality.
Yeah, the cold hard stone of the steps. You can feel them again.
Yes. And on that for you, Dewey, we're actually gonna pan across this dais where you're just sort of on it and maybe reeling and taking all of this in. We're gonna pan across it to find a bhikkhu. A bhikkhu. You're leant up against the stone, zoned out. Right? Why don't you paint us a picture of what that looks like?
Bhikkhu sits crisscross applesauce, back straight up against the stone. She's tried to get into a corner, but it sounds like this room is more circular than square.
Yep.
So she's trying to find a corner, and I think, bless her heart, she walks in a full circle before she realizes it's a circle. So she sits down, and she puts her head. She looks down on her hands are cupped like this, and just stares, I think, into her hands and drifts. And after about an hour or two, as she hears I think probably hears Dewey walk around, hears someone walk around, hears Rev very soft and you see in her hands tears start to pool. And it's not a lot, it's not a torrent, but it's every so often, as she's in her head just I really hate this. Why do I keep thinking about lavender? There was that time in the temple. I was close. V saw you. You did not like her. Do you not like me? Yeah, and it's just like talking to herself, which is all she can really do.
Without like talking, like in your head, right?
Yeah,
like
in my
these
head.
thoughts are roiling through your brain.
Yeah.
Couple hours in, you're like vaguely aware of some movement as like Dewey's. You surmise sleepwalking. Like you don't see the apparition of Khaarvach or anything like that. You just see Dewey sort of like walk up out of his tent very quietly. Like Rev doesn't even notice. But I think you're in direct line of sight on your periphery. You see like Dewey go up the dais and then just pause there for a really long time, for like several hours, is what it feels like. Yep, Paragon stuff. Yeah, it is
They're
underwear.
always doing something, always weird shit. They're always doing weird shit.
Yep. Like Voska did some sleepwalking too. It's no big deal. And as your head is like filled with these thoughts about lavender and dragons and the mysterious figure in the crystal in the cave that you and Voska and Costas like went through, you hear another noise, the rustling of feathers, sort of like breezes past your ears. You can't move. So I think you're not sure if it's real or not. Right? In terms of like, is this like sleep paralysis demon? Right? Or like, is this like actually happening? Like, it's impossible to tell. You just sort of hear like whispers. Right? Is it Dewey flapping his wings? Right? Like, who knows? Like
Wait, Dewey doesn't fly.
I didn't say it.
Anyway, you hear these feathers like drift from like one ear to another, right? A smell that isn't lavender begins to fill your nostrils. It's like this like very sweet, like rotting smell. Not unpleasant, right? Of like grave dirt. And like trees, like old ancient trees mired in bogs and swamps, right? For some people that's comforting, and for others it's deeply unsettling, right? And perhaps it's up to you to decide which camp Abiku's in. And as this smell like wafts into your nostrils and like the feathers go past, a voice, and you recognize it as like coming from Rev's direction, sort of drifts into your mind, but it's not Rev's voice at all. And the god shard of the Raven Queen, Abiku, whispers into your mind,
I remember you, Abiku. In this holy place, we can talk.
She can't move, but she is like edge of panic. There's no way she's never like talked with I mean, the only other time she talked with a god is Galtanger, who was not about it.
Peace, Abiku. I mean no harm.
Okay, I just know how you feel about things that are supposed to be dead, and I'm definitely supposed to be dead, and I am not, and so I'm sorry if I broke your rules.
My paragon is an undead revenant. Those who worship me in all my flavors mean well, but I have no one shape.
Okay, I am sorry, I've only ever talked to Galtenga, and she was very angry, so I'm not really sure. Do you want to be called Your Highness? You remember me, I don't remember you. Do you know who I am?
I do, Abiku. It's been a long time, even for gods. Where's your other half?
You know, you say that like I remember who I am, and I am trying to be polite, but I think you and I both know I don't know what you are talking about.
But I think a part of you does.
And you like smell like a wisp of lavender, or just breeze past you.
I don't know, but I would really love to find whoever they are, or remember them at least. Did we meet you together?
Oh, a Buza, my other half, regrets what we did, or rather, how we failed. We tried, the four of us, to make fate choose you. Before this, before the first stranger war, before even the first paragons, we tried to shape destiny. But destiny had other plans.
Wait, you tried to... I was supposed to... You wanted me to be a paragon?
She does not contradict you, Abiku. And she goes on to say,
I know who you are, but I cannot tell you. The act would break your already shattered mind. Untether you from this place, send you reeling into oblivion.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
I think her tears start picking up as much as they can in this state, and she's like, was I a good person?
You did your best, Abiku. I loved you. I still do. I think all four of us do, though Yudabathi is ashamed and Nitbuza is regretful. And Sen is fickle. But I, Abiku, have always loved you.
Okay, so the four of you work together to try to help me do something, but I'm not ready to be told it. And I did my best, and I clearly failed because I was very dead.
Death is not always failure, Abiku.
Well, I guess I should say I failed because everyone thinks wherever I came from is not real. They killed each other.
There's a long pause, actually, and just like the rustling of feathers in your ears. As you feel this, like, grief that doesn't belong to you, emanating from this shard of the Raven Queen, kind of settle in your heart. And maybe, like, your tears pick up even more, but these are not your tears that are being shed into your cupped hands. These are shimmering black and white tears of the Raven Queen herself, pouring out through your eyes into your palms.
Oh, my sweet child. You tried. You both tried. And I am so sorry we could not help you more. You didn't fail us, dear one. We failed you. We all did.
You keep mentioning the four of you. Did the other four not agree? Were you all fighting too?
The other four championed someone else. But I have said too much, Abiku. I do not wish to unravel your mind. You must discover your past, your truth, on your own. But I can guide your steps. When your work here is done, go north. You must return to the end to learn your beginning.
Okay, well, thank you. This is also the most company I've had while trying to sleep in a long time. Do you have to go? I'm sure you know everything that's been going on, but it is nice to talk to someone.
I will give you warmth and comfort until the sun doesn't rise.
Thank you.
And I think for the rest of the night, you and the Shard of the Raven Queen talk.
Yeah,
Not necessarily
it's like the most
but yeah,
small talk.
Yeah. The most small talk. Like, not even necessarily about yourself, because she doesn't want to, like, fucking destroy your brain.
Yeah.
But, like, it's nice. And I think maybe for once, this sleep, half death you're in, doesn't scare or unsettle you, right? As much as it used to. Because you've got a friend with you.
I think I
talking.
just talked to her about, like, my favorite ravens I've talked to.
She knows them all. She knows all of their names and their true names too, right? She's like, oh, that Silver Eye, such a swindler. And her poor lackey, Blackbeak. Yeah, and she's like, like going off about them. Yeah. Like she knows all the birds. She knows all the bird goss, right? It's really nice, actually.
She loves talking bird goss. So she's just talking bird goss.
Dewey's left out of the bird goss. And on that, we are going to pan across the camp in this crypt, right? Away from where Abiku is internally talking with the Raven Queen, the whisper of this god shard, pan across this low crackling bonfire, right? Causing the only spark of light in this dark chamber to a tent where we find V, head nestled within a bouquet of winter flowers that she picked for her beloved, with this soft bedroll underneath her, pillow framing her face, a blanket to help ward off the cold, V. I think you've fallen asleep, and I think as with every night for the Paragons, you brace yourself for the fucking nightmare again, right? The same fucking nightmare that's tormented you for the past fucking year of your life. But instead of a nightmare, the first image that greets you as your consciousness drifts off into slumber is not an image at all, actually. It's a sound. Clopping of hooves against tile, just a kind of blanket of like warm darkness all around you as you get more and more tired. And a voice you've never heard before in your life, V, but that still sounds oddly familiar, like a long-forgotten friend. It's been too long since you could rest, hasn't it, Paragon of Scott and Nectus?
Who? Yes? Who are you?
You're in my crypt.
Khaarvach?
Be free from your nightmares. At least for tonight. Would you like that?
Oh, that would be so delightful.
I can't craft your dreams like Huan or Xiong Zhen could, but I can at least grant you freedom from pain.
I would like that very much. You left us an apology, and thank you for that. Because before this moment, I didn't think the Paragons of old were like us.
I am but a ghost of a ghost here, but I do know that within my heart, I had always harbored doubt and fear and joy and rage and pain and desire and love, just like you.
I think with each one of those words, it's almost like a cup of warm tea with each drink. It's a sip of warm tea with each of those words. And V feels her heart just more full. I'm ready to give up what I have to stop this.
And I am so sorry that fate has asked that of you. Of all of you.
It seems these rivers of fate are not always heading to the wide open oceans, but looks like the river I'm on is straight to the Court of Ravens.
And you will be welcomed there with open arms, I'm sure.
I hope so. I don't know how much you know about me, but I haven't exactly led the most proper of lives.
Neither did I. I had to scrounge as a peasant farmer. I had to lie and cheat just to survive, just to put food in the mouths of my loved ones, my family. Is that a crime?
We do what we have to survive.
That's right. And now we do what we must to save everyone we've ever loved.
I think V gets almost like this feeling of like falling backwards, but in a very gentle way. And but she reaches out a hand. I think she says out loud as she's falling away, "This feels so warm, and I thank you." And as she's going away, just thank you. And whoosh, she just feels herself sort of crawl into something else, some other dream, some other place.
Yeah, as a blanket of slumber washes over you and you thank Khaarvach's ghost. You just hear the last words that she says to you are, "Rest, Paragon, rest." And V, for the first night in almost a year, you don't dream at all. You have a dreamless, deep, restful, beautiful slumber. The next day dawns, cold and gray. But your party doesn't know it. Deep within the crypt of Khaarvach Turai, you're awoken by the gentle cawing, I think, of raven song that Rev has sort of woven as a natural alarm in to sort of rouse the camp. And I think Dewey, after waking up on the days, I assume you return to your tent to actually get some sleep. And Abiku, you feel the strand of the Raven Queen dissipating off of your body like morning dew under a bright sun, right? She says goodbye to you, and I think the last thing she whispers to you as you actually you rouse and your paralysis ends is,
"It was so good to talk and catch up with you, Abiku. You're a good friend."
Oh, yes, thank you. And I will make sure to keep tabs on that silver eye. Yes, I will let you know the gas next time we are in a holy temple and you can talk to me.
Thank you, Abiku. Arm yourself for the day. Be well.
Oh, yes. And as her paralysis, the tear she caught in her hand, she drinks it.
Okay. Yeah, you drink the full cup of tears, in your cupped palms. You just drink it down as you wake back up, right?
Morning rituals.
Yes. And V, you're also awoken, right? Very gently. You feel so fucking well rested when your eyes open, to the sound of bird song all around. And V, you in particular can take a, let's see. I would give you inspiration for the good rest that you've gotten that night. Yeah.
Nice, I will take it.
Mm-hmm.
I also think when V wakes up, she has this little just check in to feel Scott and Nectar swirling around her heart, and she has to tell them soon. I will go soon. She has to. I think she's gotten in the habit of every morning. They're Morose, follow your heart, go. And she's had to we're going soon.
Yeah, quelling these really excitable fires in you, burning, yearning for oxygen toward the north, right? But you're just you're quelling them. You're telling them I just need time here, right? And they buy it for another day. You wake fully, and Rev pulls herself up from a stump of a broken pillar that she was leaned against, I think, inside this tomb. And she's scrubbing at her eyes, and you all, as you come out of your tents and as you get up from the walls you're leaning against and whatnot, get the sense that she also fell asleep when she was supposed to take watch, because she never woke someone to take the next shift. She stretches, looks around, blinks, sort of shakes her head a little, and looks oddly well rested. Perhaps she locks eyes with you, V, as you exit the tent, cocks her head to the side and just sort of whispers to you, Did she visit you too?
Khaarvach?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh my god, I just had the best sleep of my life.
I know, me too.
No nightmares? Oh my god.
It felt so good that
fucking
just
life-changing.
Oh my gosh.
Dewey, did you also get that? Dr. Lusa was right. We should sleep at holy places more often.
No. I'm glad you got some good rest.
What do you mean, no?
What did you?
Did she forget about you? Did she skip over you?
I didn't get the quick visit and the full night of good rest like everyone else apparently got.
What did you get?
More dreams. So, but like less about a bloody battle. Well, there was a bloody battlefield. I had a good talk with Khaarvach. That's about it.
Good. Good talk is good. Speaking of good talks with demi-gods, ready to set off for the herd, kick that fucking hunter's ass. I'm fucking ready to go. I feel energized. I feel invigorated. Ironically, I feel alive.
That's funny, Rev. I like that.
I wasn't trying to be funny.
Let's go.
Speaking of being alive, Abiku, you up?
Yes. Sorry, I don't have to blink. I forget to.
Right. Did you talk to me while I was sleeping last night or something? I feel like we...
No, I gossiped with the Raven Queen all night. She is very polite.
What?
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 I'm sorry. I gossiped with the Raven Queen all night.
What do you mean you gossiped with my god all night?
It seems very straightforward.
What, like she came out of my soul and talked to you?
I don't know if she came out to your soul. I cannot move my head, so I couldn't look at you, but she talked to me.
What does she...
sounded like...
What? What did she talk to you about?
Silver Eye is very tricky. Blackbeak is his subordinate and very unfortunate for so. There is a bird that flies up in Morose who likes to steal apple seeds.
Wait, so when you say my god gossiped with you, you meant she like talked about what birds were up to with you?
Well, I love to talk about but there's a lot of bird gossip. There's a whole like... You look confused.
Rev's hand has subconsciously gone up to her chest, right, like around where her soul is centered, and like has like touched the sternum, right, like with like a gloved hand, is like looking at you really weirdly. She didn't tell me. I didn't feel her leave or talk to anyone else.
Well, she said it's because we were here, so maybe just like she channeled through you to, because like the God Shard's like a piece, right? So maybe a different piece talked to. I don't know how it works. She talked to me about the birds, and she had met me before because I died, which makes sense, you know. But she couldn't. She couldn't tell me who I was because I am like too broken. Because V told me I'm very broken, which makes sense. But that she is hoping I can find who I was before, or be ready for her to tell me.
This explanation seems to center Rev more. Like there's a reason why. Instead of she's just like fucking randomly talking to you, she like nods. Okay. Right. Of course. Yeah. Well, I guess it didn't disturb me, and I guess it's none of my business what the two of you talked about. Though she's technically living in me, though. You know what? I'm feeling too good to get caught up in the confusion of this.
On the way to
Yeah. Why don't you? On our way up, past the corpse limbs thing.
Okay, so yeah.
All right, let's pack up these. Yeah.
Immediately.
Yep. We like start like all of you like start packing up and like getting ready to leave, right? Is there anything else y'all would like to do before we shoot out of this tomb? I think on like the busyness of all of you beginning to fold, you know, the tents down, roll up the bedrolls, right, stamp out the fire, pack up the logs and whatnot. We're gonna fade on this scene and fade into the clan of Turai. We see a collection of these like gurs, these cloth and hide like huts and yurts clustered around the base of this golden mountain at the bottom of which we know our heroes are currently packing up the crypt. And we see like the morning like dawn on this place, right? The long shadows reaching out from underneath the mountain beginning to like recede as like a wave of foggy dew rolls in from the west, right? We see these broken, empty animal pens, a couple of like early risers sadly shoveling manure, like looking out hopefully at every like sudden noise to see, oh, are our animals coming back? Oh no, that was just like a breeze wafting by, right? Or oh no, that was just a roll of thunder in the distance, not hooves. And there's like a really morose feeling, as dense as this like mist rolling through town, as people begin to like open tent flaps to their gurs come out and start to bustle about their day. but kind of without their animals. There's a sense of like directionlessness. Like there's people just like sort of sitting, like playing cards, who look like farmers or maybe like animal like husbandryers, who like don't have anything to do because they don't have anything. They don't have herds to tend to. They don't have horses to feed. They don't have sheep to trim and shear. They don't have cows to milk. What the fuck are they gonna do, right? And we see like an elder like walking out back, like opening up like a big like icebox grain storage, looking in, like taking out like storage like food to cook, right? And like milks to drink, right? And like meats to eat because they're starting to run low. And amidst all of this in the center, like pacing around kind of like a maypole, like village pole sort of erected in the center with all sorts of like ribbons tied around it for like a ceremonial purpose, we see a tiefling person with cloven hooves, Udam Agan, the Agan of this clan, like pacing around very anxiously, like done up in these elaborate tattoos that sort of kind of looked like Khaarvach's tattoos a little bit, like pacing around and around, like surrounded by like a little retinue of people as they're all like muttering and glancing up at like the mountain occasionally and like waiting and waiting and waiting. And that's when someone shouts, "They're here! They're back! I see them!" And Udam Agan turns around and looks as Abiku, V, Dewey, and Rev come back down out of like a thick copse of trees and like enter into the periphery of where this village is clustered. Oh! And Udam Agan like rushes forward, right, to like greet your party. "Oh, were you able to clear out the monsters? Were you able to restore our tomb?"
Oh yes, that was the easy part. It was great. It's wonderful in there. You've done such a beautiful job of taking care of that crypt, but everything is good. Everything's out.
Oh, the tomb, the crypt, the tomb of Khaarvach has been cleared. And the Agan like calls out like to everyone, all the villagers, and they need this news. They need a win. So like everyone like starts cheering and like hugging each other and like clasping hands and like jumping up and down, right, in happiness. And like Udam Agan turns around and says, "And were any of you able to contact the Kagan about why, she's not sending munitions, about if any munitions are coming? Or I understand maybe you were in the hill this entire time, so you weren't able to reach her, but thank you so much. We owe you a life debt for clearing out those monsters."
You should have been in there. Our friend Dewey Quirk here just single-handedly destroyed whatever was in there and really showed off the paragon of Galtander skills.
The small one?
As I look at Dewey, I drew it craft, so there's like a little sun over Dewey's head and like.
Oh my god. Okay, why don't V you roll persuasion with advantage from the glitzing to like make Dewey look impressive?
If only it was deception. Actually, no, persuasion works for me quite well. Does a 23 work?
20. The DC was really high because this village's skepticism of Dewey was really high. 23 is respectable, is what I'll say. It's respectable. They look at like the glitzy light show, right? Like the sun like beaming above like Dewey's feathered crown. We pan down to see Dewey. Dewey, how are you taking all this gas?
Dewey looks to both sides and like he's under his breath. He's like, "He was just the one monster, right?"
It was really big. It was like
terrifying.
Oh yeah, it was huge. Yeah, that was me.
Okay, you say that, and like a couple of people are like nodding. They're like, "Oh, wow, okay. Guess can't judge a book by its cover. Can't judge a cow by its horns, But Udam Agan just goes, right, yes, of course. The Dewey. Yes, the Kagan did tell us about the Dewey. Well, thank you, regardless, whoever dealt the killing blow. We're very, very grateful. This means we can finally go into the tomb and place offerings for Khaarvach and Galtanger to maybe turn our luck around.
Yes, you'll go on in there. Everything's ready. Khaarvach is waiting for you to bring many a gift. Right?
As you see, like a group of people begin to like try to set off into their homes to find offerings, but Rev throws out an arm to prevent anyone from moving. Like her cape fluttering like ominously and confidently in this like breeze like gusting through this village. Wait, Agan, we haven't been entirely truthful about exactly what's happened here. V, is there something you'd like to say to these poor people who I think may be blaming the wrong person?
All right. Well, friends, I know I don't want to get started on the wrong foot here, but a while ago, we were with Taktoa. I may have accidentally knocked over some figurines that may have said, hey, this village is where we need to send some stuff. So I might be the reason that you haven't had anything. However, the destiny of fate, the rivers of fate have brought us to you to fix it. So no harm, no foul, right?
Dewey and Abiku, are either of you going to assist?
I think Abiku goes, I'm just glad it wasn't my fault. I thought when I knocked them all over that one night.
There's no way to truly tell whose fault it is.
I'm not going to count either of those as an assist.
No, absolutely not.
How can I possibly assist here?
I guarantee you, if she's aiming to say it's not helpful, she speaks up louder.
Give me a straight persuasion roll, V. And I'm going to say the DC for this is even higher than the one with Dewey to win these people over.
All right, well, I'm going to use that inspiration I gained during the dream. Oh my god! Holy shit! Can I use a luck point? I've got
yes,
luck
you can.
points again now.
You can. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Nat 20! Plus 9 for 29!
Max is at Austin's.
You have to be kidding me.
What am I doing here?
If you want either,
re-roll.
You know what?
Oh my god.
I'm so sorry, Erica, but if either Austin and or Abiku or Max and or Dewey want to impose disadvantage on that roll, I will allow it.
You worked hard for that roll. I'm good. I'm just flabbergasted.
Yeah, Dewey just starts walking off.
Yeah, you say that. And there's a long silence as you confess your crimes to these people who have been directly wronged by you. And then the Agon turns around and confers, with the people, right? In hushed Kyrian, which none of you can understand. They just put up a finger, they turn and they talk in a sidebar. And there's silence as Rev is just sort of staring and nodding silently like a sentinel ready to accept V's punishment, V's sentence. And then these people open up again, they turn back to you. And the Agon says, because you helped clear out the crypt, and because you decided to be honest with us, and you have liaison with the Khaarvach directly, who does not have poor judgment, and if she decided to trust you, then perhaps there's something worth it there. And because you appear to be genuinely remorseful, we have agreed to not run you out of the town.
I think V looks at what's left of the town. It's just oh, thank goodness. I would hate to leave all of this behind.
V.
I
rein in the sarcasm.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your forgiveness. I'm so sorry for the harm that I've caused you.
Here are your horses. Please get out.
Shadow!
Yeah, a group of people lead your horses forward, and Shadow knickers. They look really shiny. Oh my god. These horses, their hooves have been cleaned, their manes have been brushed and groomed. They are so shiny. They look brand new, just walked off the dealership horses. Cause you figure this entire village
Just walked off the dealership horses. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm getting a visual when C listens to this to edit it, and he's I just walked off the dealership horse.
Used horse salespeople be hey, would you like to buy this new horse? That doesn't look like a new horse. It's brand new.
They're all Mustangs, that's why.
Don't pay sticker price for new horses, kids.
I mean, because you figure this was an entire town that has no horses left, that knows so much about horses, that are missing their horses, and then suddenly they get 4 horses for an entire day. They did your horses up. Your horses are they look beautiful. They're gleaming. Right? They outshine Dewey, who's getting druid crafted, right? Get your horses and hop on them. Say goodbye. And as you're clopping out of there, Rev turns to you, V, as your horses begin to go up a hill and the light gets brighter and brighter across the sky. You can start to see color flush back in, right? Like water washing over a painting and showing the detailing, right? All over you, right? As it gets brighter and brighter and more gray and the mist begins to dissipate. Rev turns to you, V, and says, "I'm proud of you, V, for telling the truth."
Well, somebody didn't give me an option.
Nope.
He squints at Rev.
I do love your silver tongue in more ways than one, V, but I did die and come back animated by a desire for righteous justice. I don't love conning people.
We helped them out in the end.
We did. And they came to a consensus of their own accord. They weren't being manipulated, so, got off pretty easy.
I like when it's easy to get off of. Never mind. So, Dewey, are you ready to find this herd?
God, if I were you, I could get away with so much.
Do you want to get away with? What do you not get away with already?
What do you do that requires getting away with things?
What do I do that y'all not make fun of me persistently for?
Have Abiku stops and looks at Dewey in the eyes. I'm sorry if I've made fun of you. I speak very literally that some people think I am joking, but I just say words when I mean them.
No, not you. Not on purpose anyways.
Oh.
When have I ever made fun of you, Dewey?
Dewey takes a swing at Rev, but I think she easily dodges.
On horseback? On your little pony? You're swinging up at Rev on your pony? She's riding a massive fucking Frisian.
If you're lucky, you can hit the bottom of her foot.
You slap her calf.
It was an honorable try, Dewey.
This is what I mean. Everyone shut up.
When you're a fully realized, I have to make fun of you now because when you're a fully realized Paragon, you're gonna destroy us all with your shininess of shiny.
Right. Speaking of which, Dewey, have you come to a conclusion about whether or not you're gonna accept Galtanger the second time around? Because after we fight that hunter thing and get to her, and she still rejects you, I don't know if there's gonna be a third chance.
Let's just fight the hunter and see what happens.
You're not gonna try to make her go into that. I mean, she broke it.
Yeah, but I'm good at fixing stuff.
Dewey.
Anyway,
speaking of the hunter, actually, we should probably talk strategy before we hurtle headfirst into, frankly, getting our asses handed to us again. Though we did pull off a few stunts, but it felt like that thing wasn't even hurting. We were just bugs at its ankles. We have to come up with some sort of stratagem. And maybe on that, actually, I'd like to ask each of you as a GM, how do you prepare to fight the hunter again? What's different about your approach to getting ready to fight them this time around?
So I think for Abiku, there's the hunter and the dog thing. I think she's what if it's a proximity thing? What if she can lure the dog further away? Because they come out in the dark and it's absolute dark. So what if we set up a secondary spot where Abiku can lure the dog away? Between bow and sun, kite it so it just keeps chasing her? Because she's what if it's a proximity, if they're too close, neither can be harmed or something like that. And she's I can.
Ooh.
She's if I book it, I can be far and still shoot as long as we set up ways for me to see it. If we set up a little hallway of torches or something.
That's pretty smart. Take inspiration for that new approach and those ideas that Abiku's offering up.
I think the biggest adjustment will be she didn't use gamble at all that last fight, which so she's thinking she's gonna pull out the stops with gamble. She wants to get higher up on it. Also, she's thinking about the fact that it only comes out in the dark. So things that bring light into the world may be a decent way to attack things. Which she kind of did with a lot of fireball stuff, but she's thinking about other ways if there's a way to utilize fire attacks or anything that produces light that might harm this thing more.
Very smart. Have a point of inspiration as well for these new tactics. And what about you, Dewey?
I don't think you've ever seen Dewey practice fighting, maybe ever. But he's like, he spends his off time, or like late at night when everyone else is resting, he'll go out and like beat up some empty monsters, and trying to get into like, so he can like take a couple more hits, right? But also he thinks there's something with the, he got into the thing's mind, the hunter's mind, and there's something about disappointment and the mother that he thinks he can maybe tap back into to utilize against it.
Love that. Okay, very cool, very cool. As all of you are like sharing your ideas, I think like maybe like coming up with like a full strategy like takes maybe the course of several days, actually, as you like track the herd, which has now gotten like maybe like a day ahead of you, right? So it's taking you some time to keep up with it. And we see like a flash, like a montage of like your group like traveling like in profile, like across these like rolling, they like almost look like dunes of sand, but we know them to be like grassy hillocks going up and down, and then like flat stretches of like nothing but just grass in every direction, and then like really rocky stretches with kind of craggy ground, bifurcating streams, going through like thick blankets of fog and mist one day, and then like snow and rain comes down another day, right? And then it's really bright and gray another day, right? We like go through this miniature montage of just your horses and you like walking as like days flash by and like weather changes, and your party like sets up camp and talks and sets up camp and talks. And let's say on the late afternoon, you come upon the herd. You see sort of tucked at the base of the Ogumor River highlands to the far north, Kirtal/Morosi border. The highlands like ramp up, and sort of crater down to form Zima Lake, like up north, across the highlands. You see at the base of it, the herd. The cold wind of Morose billows down past frosty hillocks and tundras, like gusting, carrying the scent of hundreds, if not thousands, of pack animals. Horses, zebras, rhinos, hippos, giraffes, elephants even. Huge, like tusked mammoths, like thick woolly mammoths, like animals of every shape and stripe and size are just sort of huddled, like in the shadow of this hill. They seem to be waiting. And you notice like the way they're positioned is really interesting. On the outside of the herd, as you're on top of like a tall hill looking down at it, maybe half a mile away, maybe a quarter of a mile away, let's say, the outside of the herd is like filled with like really strong, tough animals. Like this is where the rhinos and the tusked beasts are, right? Almost like they're forming like a shield around like the softer inner parts of the herd. And there's like bigger animals, almost like watchtowers, right? Like stationed like here and there at almost like strategic like points in the mass, right? Mammoth here, elephant there, giraffe there, you know, etc., etc., etc. Looking down at this herd. And as evening rolls, melds into late afternoon and begins to darken the sky, all of you see the bodies of these animals sort of shuddering against the base of this small mountain, painted blue with ice, one of many peaks that comprise the highlands to the north. The hunter will be coming soon. What do you all do?
I mean, Abiku is going about her plan. She's setting up torches from like wherever we plan to like start, probably like 200 feet out. So she's like we see the herd and she gets to work because it's gonna take a while to like torch and like walk all the way back so she can kite the dog away, because she's still like, that big thing is, it seems like Paragon work, but like there's a companion and I'm a companion, so companion fight.
Yeah, I like that a lot. You like stake the ground. The ground here is really, really, really hard. So it takes some effort to perforate the dirt because it's like frost, because like it's rained and then the rain froze, right? And expanded and cracked the ground open, and it's really, really hard to get through. But with Sun's help and Rev's, you know, and V's and Dewey's are able to like crack and like perforate these holes like 200 feet, like down in like the line that you want it to have, and you light the torches so you can at least have visibility when fighting this thing. What about you, V?
V, I think, is maybe she's grabbing like she's got a bunch of torches, but she never lights torches because she just uses light. So she's like lighting the tips of all these torches so they just cast magic light. And I think like she's doing the equivalent of magic, like just practice. I think she's feeling herself like, I think from that really good rest and too, like there's something about her body that she feels something extra in her body. She's not quite sure what. Might be some more powerful magic just waiting to burst out of her. Who knows? But I think there's something about that she's just like tuning into the weave and just feeling this magic coursing through her and like trying to cultivate that through sort of like a meditative practice.
I really, really love that. Yeah. You're like feeling this like swirling energy in your soul, almost like water bursting against a dam, wanting to be let out in like a torrential like burst of strength and power. And you like light these torches like to help Abiku, perhaps like with like a little bit of extra magical light, right? These torches all around to illuminate the battlefield. Dewey has found like a spot equidistant from everyone else, sort of in the middle, and he flies up in the air and sort of like checks everyone's formations, sort of acting as like tactician, and seeing if the hunter approaches from this direction, will we have enough coverage? Will Abiku's plan work to get the hound away from it? Yeah, so that's what he's doing. That's really smart. Yeah, you're sort of like, you flap up into the air, looking down, like maybe shouting directions, or like flapping back down and informing people like, oh, Abiku, the torches would be better if like they were closer to here, or like V, maybe you should set up your torches like here, here, and here. Like Rev, maybe you should be positioned here. Like you like help people out basically and assist them in their preparations, which is also very smart. So I'm gonna ask you now, the hunter last time approached the herd from the west. Like it was chasing it, like from west to east. And you surmise a similar situation will happen again tonight. So are you setting up your battle formations between the herd and the encroaching dark from the west? Or are you setting it up elsewhere?
That makes sense to me, to cut it off from what it's following.
Like forming a barrier, right? Like you're like a guard in front of, you're like the bodyguard of the herd behind you, right?
Right.
Cool. I really like that. Yeah. As you kind of like draw closer to the herd, you feel your horses like strain against your bridles as you get within like 1,000 feet of like the first ring of like rhinos, right? As they like, the foam starts to sort of like form against their newly polished like stirrups and bridles as they like seem like eager to get to the herd. But because of the week of like hard training V did, getting to know these horses, right? Getting to know Shadow in particular. V, I will have you lead an animal handling check with advantage to keep your horses in check so they don't run off to join the herd.
I love this for me. So yeah, that would be 27.
That's sufficient. Because, not gonna lie, V, my DC was a 25. So, that is sufficient. Ooh, the pull of the herd is strong, very strong, divine even, but your bond with these animals, V, is stronger. The horse girl triumphs. You're able to coax the horses like away from the herd and like get their blinders on, right? Like get their attention turned toward the west. And as your party like hunkers down, right? And like fingers of evening completely cover, right? Like this gray light that's been encroaching across the horizon. Soon, it's not but the torches lit by Abiku and the ones lit by V that light this entire expanse. Like a dim light radiates outward in every direction, and a chill winter wind blows through the shadows of the highlands. You smell like the horses and the herd like 1,000, 2,000 feet behind you, right on the wind. You can hear their snickering and their, the low calls of elephants every now and then. But you wait. Weapons drawn, spells prepared, magic and power at the ready, sun summoned, I'm sure. And soon, the hunter comes. And on that, we're gonna end our session for the night. Thank you everyone for tuning into Arc 5 episode 12 of Transplanar RPG, The Second Stranger. I've been your GM and creative producer, Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me all over the social medias, TikTok, Itch, Ko-Fi, Twitter at ByConnieChan. That's BYCONNICHANG. I'm going to pass along introductions to Erica.
Hi everybody, I'm Erica and I played V, Horse Girl Extraordinaire Nocturzo. And you can find me at Erica New Girl everywhere I exist on the social medias. Come check out my Twitch stream sometime. I think I know you'll have fun. Max?
Hey, I'm Max. My pronouns are they, them. I play Dewey Sleepwalker Quirk. Oof. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, that's about it, at Starchmonger. That's my personal, so come look at selfies of me and pictures of cats and whatnot. That's Austin.
Hey, what's up? I'm Austin. My pronouns are he, they, she. You can find me on Twitter at Sailor Scott Austin. That's at Sailor SCT Austin. I do game stuff like this, and I design games, and I have a podcast. It's not about games at all, actually, but it's really funny, I'm told. I mean, I think I'm funny. Hopefully you think I'm funny. I got done playing a Biku Birdgrass Ishtar. XOXO Bird Girl.
XOXO Bird Girl. Love it. We're going to be rating someone really awesome right now, I'm sure. So use a raid message in chat. Let them know Transplanar sent you. Toss them a follow if you like their stuff. Even if you can't stick around because this was a doozy of an episode. Totally understand. Just let them know you can't stick around. Say you're going to lurk or something. Just let them know Transplanar sent you. We stream Saturdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. So tune in next Saturday for Arc 5 Episode 13, where we follow up on what the Dabathati crew is up to. So you don't want to miss out on that. We love you all so much. Tell the people we're rating that we're rating. And stay tuned for next episode. Bisho.
Dum